Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zarifa Kabir, and today I would like to give you an insight of how a former prisoner's life is after in Florida. So, when we think about criminals, we always sense a negative connotation. Many people believe that having criminals in this world is the reason why we're losing humanity from this world. And so once they're arrested, and the law punishes them for their crimes by sentencing them to prison for many lives, or for many years, for their whole lifetimes, or sometimes death penalties. So if we come to think of it, once they leave the prison, wouldn't that mean that they have already paid for their crimes? That's what I think it means, and I still question that. Why does society still keep mistreating them, judging them, despite of the fact that they have paid for their crimes? Definitely, a criminal will never be looked at the same way as any other common man. And today, I would like to talk about how a former prisoner struggles to survive in a society in Florida. Just to throw a fact here, statistically, in every 6 to 7 days, a former prisoner attempts suicide. Now, judges are there they're legally allowed to sentence death penalties. But when a criminal takes his own life, that means that the society is partially responsible for it. And we are in no position to murder a criminal, because every time a criminal tries to commit suicide, that means that you're losing some part of humanity from us too. And when they're confined in prisons, the only thing that keeps them going, for a lot of them, is the hope that they will be able to see their loved ones, and they will be able to rebuild their lives after prison. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. It doesn't go like that for a lot of them. And it is not even that inmates stay psychologically healthy in prisons. According to Advocacy Treatment Center, in 44 states, including Florida, prisons hold more mentally ill patients / criminals than any of the largest remaining psychiatric hospitals. And nowadays, prisons are being called mental asylums because of that reason. And 77% of mentally disabled criminals are more likely to commit suicide because of that. And also, in the picture over here, you can see, well, it's kind of blurry, but over here you can see that mental health treatment is the criminals, after they go to jail, they don't receive it as much as they do before they go to jail. It gradually decreases. And it's unjustifiable, because these criminals need mental health treatment more than any time else in prisons because of its atmosphere. And therefore, that's why I believe that former prisons should have more access to mental health treatment. Another issue they always face is homelessness. So usually it is expected that when a prisoner is released, he or she is often gifted with a new profound sense of freedom. But according to a criminal justice expert, it is confirmed that the stress and anxiety that they face is worse than anything else that they experience after coming out of prison. When a person is labeled a prisoner, they do not have that many opportunities out in front of them, especially getting a house, and they often face abandonment from friends and families, so they never have anyone to receive them or welcome them, and they don't have any home to go back to, so they have to live in motels or homeless shelters. But however, then they come with the problem of lack of money. Without money, they cannot survive for that long. Another issue that they face is the fact that they do not have a permanent address. So, did you know that criminals have to go back to their parole officers and tell them about their permanent addresses? And if they fail to do so, their parole officers can send them back to prison. And if they have already paid for their crimes by serving their time in prison, why should they go back to prison for that? And 79% of criminals who are sent back to prison are there because because of their homelessness condition. Because either they cannot provide information about their permanent address to the parole officers, or because they're compelled to go back to their habit of old crimes, and they have to go back to being criminals again. Here's a picture that says housing can prevent ex-offenders from becoming homeless or returning to prison. Another issue that they experience is unemployment. So among other felons, felons who have been away for the longest time experience this problem the most, and that is the rapid development of technology. So it brings a disadvantage to them because they're not trained to handle such technology, and it becomes more unlikely for them to get accepted for a job. And employers wouldn't want to hire prisoners for their workplace because they know how dangerous it is. So they often hesitate to hire them too. And another thing is that not hiring them can also impact the US economy. According to a law study, it is estimated that not hiring former prisoners can actually cost the U.S. economy $56 to $67 billion annually in lost economic output. So after this information was released, 31 states like California, Nevada, New York, they decided to ban the box. I'm sure you all know which box I'm talking about. The box is when it questions you if you have ever committed a crime or felony. Well, you still see it because because Florida hasn't still adopted the policy. And those 31 states did that because they believe that criminals deserve a second chance. But unfortunately, Florida hasn't done that yet. And I believe that if Florida adopts the policy of banning the box, it will be one step closer to improving the lives of prisoners after being released. And here's a picture of, there's statistics, 2.3 million Americans are incarcerated, and 1 in 3 adults and 75 million Americans have criminal record. And participation in correctional education results in a 43% reduction of employment rate. My final issue is that former prisoners face is not being able to vote. Being able to vote is a basic right for a U.S. citizen, and that right is snatched away from them just because of their past misconducts. In the United States, only 2 states, Maine and Vermont, have passed the act to allow prisoners to become voters. And over here in this picture, you can see that. I don't know if you guys remember the governors, Jeb Bush, Charlie Crest, and Rick Scott, the governors of Florida. And you can see by the statistics that when Jeb Bush was the governor, the voting rights for prisoners were around 20,000 or around 20,000 prisoners could vote. But when Rick Scott, and he was the governor in 2011, after he came, the voting rate percentage gradually decreased, barely 5,000. So Florida should take action against. Florida should take action to actually support prisoners and let them vote too, because their voices also deserve to be heard. Also, another issue is that in elections, former criminals are actually considered to be a part of a population of voters, but they're not allowed to vote. So often in elections, you can see that there will be miscalculation of votes. And another thing actually that one of the justice of the system has actually concluded in a case is that citizenship is not a right that expires upon misbehavior. And he's Earl Warren, he's a Justice Court judge, and he said that, and after that, even then, he still couldn't have brought in any impact to Florida. And I really do believe that doing so can actually improve the lives of the former prisoners so much, and they will also have they can also speak out loud to represent and prosper the country. I have another picture for the voting rights, and you can see that the red represents that all felons must apply for voting rights, and Florida is all red, and obviously they apply for they won't be allowed to because of their position because they are felons. And other states, I know there are other 2 states, but Florida is also one of them, and I really feel that Florida should not be one of them too. So now, former prisoners are still a part of the society, and they will always be considered much lower in the eyes of decency. But they're sent to prison just because they can pay for the crimes which they have done. So once they come out of prison, that is the time when they can rebuild their lives and make an identity of themselves. And together, I believe that society should stand and act and revoke the act of crime, not criminal. Thank you.